Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. I'm sorry that I'm late, but I just had about a 3-hour session with Sundarurup in Hungary and with Radharaman's new computer, and I was helping Radharaman getting his computer set up and with different things that only Sundarurup can do because he's super, super expert. And we just finished just in the nick of time. So, Hare Krishna, we hope you're all happy, safe, well. I don't know if my voice is going to work right now because I've been straining it for all day, but I'm going to try. Inspired by my trusty sidekick, Abhay Das Brahmachari, who's taking such good care of us, it's inconceivable. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was really attached to the Caitanya-caritämrta. It was his life and soul. So he left us with this beautiful, what you would call poetic glorification. It's not to be taken literally. It's not that you throw the Bhagavad Gita out the door, Srimad Bhagavatam out the door, and just read Caitanya-caritämrta. But it's just a poetic glorification to show how important it is. He said, in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, if you're swimming in an ocean and you can't hold all three, then release the Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam. But under no circumstances, release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after the flood has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. Okay, here we are in the haven. We've reached the 5th chapter of the Antya-līlā of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta, and the chapter is entitled How Pradyumna Miśra Received Instructions from Rāmānanda Roy. The following summary of the 5th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. Pradyumna Miśra, a resident of Srihata, came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear from him about Lord Krishna and his pastimes. The Lord, however, sent him to Srila Rāmānanda Roy. Srila Rāmānanda Roy was training the Devi Dasi dancing girls in the temple. And when Pradyumna Miśra heard about this, he returned to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, however, elaborately described the character of Srila Rāmānanda Roy. Then Pradyumna Miśra went to see Rāmānanda Roy again to hear about the transcendental truth from him. A Brahmana from Bengal composed a drama about the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and went to Jagannath Puri to show it to the associates of the Lord. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's secretary, Swarup Damodar Goswami, heard the drama, he discerned a tinge of Mayavad philosophy and pointed it out to the author. Although Swarup Damodar condemned the entire drama by reference to secondary meanings of the introductory verse, he nevertheless satisfied the Brahmana. That Brahmana poet thus became greatly obliged to Swarup Damodar Goswami, renounced his family connections, and stayed at Jagannath Puri with the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 1. I am infected by the germs of material activity, and I am suffering from the boils of envy. Therefore, falling in an ocean of humility, I take shelter of the great physician, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is such a beautiful verse. May I be allowed to read it again? Thank you. Caitanya-caritämrta Paishunya Vranapiditaha Dainyarnave Nimagno Ham Chaitanya Vaidhyam Ashraye. I am infected by the germs of material activity, and I am suffering from the boils of envy. Therefore, falling in the ocean of humility, I take shelter of the great physician, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Shachi. All glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Indeed, he is the most glorious and merciful. Text 3. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Advaita Prabhu, the ocean of mercy, and to all the devotees, such as Swarup Damodar Goswami, Gadadhar Pandit, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Sri Sanatan Goswami. Text 4. One day, Pradyumna Miśra came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offering his respects and inquiring from him with great submission. Text 5. My Lord, he said, kindly hear me. I am a cripple-minded householder, the most fallen of men, but somehow, by my good fortune, I have received the shelter of your lotus feet, which are rarely to be seen. Text 6. I wish to hear topics concerning Lord Krishna constantly. Be merciful unto me and kindly tell me something about Krishna. Text 7. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I do not know about topics concerning Lord Krishna. I think that only Rāmānanda Roy knows, for I hear these topics from him. Text 8. It is your good fortune that you were inclined to hear topics regarding Krishna. The best course for you would be to go to Rāmānanda Roy and hear those topics from him. 1 second. I see that you have acquired a taste for hearing talks regarding Krishna. Therefore, you are extremely fortunate. Not only you, but anyone who has awakened such a taste is considered most fortunate. Text 10. A person who properly performs his regulative duties according to Varna and Ashram, but does not develop his dormant attachment for Krishna or awaken his taste for hearing and chanting about Krishna, is certainly laboring fruitlessly. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.8. Text 11. Pradyumna Miśra, being thus advised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, went to the home of Rāmānanda Roy. There, the servant of Rāmānanda Roy gave him a proper place to sit down. Text 12. Unable to see Rāmānanda Roy immediately, Pradyumna Miśra inquired from the servant, who then described what Sri Rāmānanda Roy was doing. Text 13. There are two dancing girls who are extremely beautiful. They are very youthful and they are expert in dancing and singing. Srila Rāmānanda Roy has taken these two girls to a solitary place in his garden, where he is teaching and directing them to dance according to the songs he has composed for his drama. Purport. The drama being rehearsed by Rāmānanda Roy and the two young girls was the well-known Jagannath Vallabha Nataka. The songs and dances were meant for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. Therefore, Rāmānanda Roy was personally giving instructions on how to sing and dance for the drama. 15. Please sit here and wait for a few moments. As soon as he comes, I will execute whatever order. He will execute whatever order you give him. 16. While Pradyumna Miśra remained seated there, Rāmānanda Roy took the two girls to a solitary place. With his own hand, Sri Rāmānanda Roy massaged their bodies with oil and bathed them with water. Indeed, Rāmānanda Roy cleansed their entire bodies with his own hand. 1 second. Okay. Indeed, Rāmānanda Roy cleansed their entire bodies with his own hand. 18. Although he dressed the two young girls and decorated their bodies with his own hand, he remained unchanged. Such is the mind of Srila Rāmānanda Roy. While touching the young girls, he was like a person touching wood or stone, for his body and mind were unaffected. Srila Rāmānanda Roy used to act in that way because he thought of himself in his original position as a maidservant of the gopis. Thus, although externally he appeared to be a man, internally, in his original spiritual position, he considered himself a maidservant and considered the two girls, gopis. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasha, Srila Rāmānanda Roy composed a drama named Jagannath Vallabha Nataka, and he engaged two young girls who were professional dancers and singers to demonstrate the ideology of the drama. Such girls who are called Devi Dasis are still employed in the temple of Jagannath, where they are called Maharis. Sri Rāmānanda Roy engaged two such girls, and because they were meant to play the parts of gopis, he taught them how to awaken thoughts like those of the gopis. Because the gopis are worshipable personalities, Rāmānanda Roy, who considered the two girls gopis and himself their maidservant, engaged in their service by massaging their bodies with oil to cleanse them completely. Because Rāmānanda Roy always placed himself in the position of a maidservant of the gopis, his rehearsal with the girls was actually on the spiritual platform. Because there was no question of personal sense gratification when Sri Rāmānanda Roy was serving the girls, his mind was steady and his body untransformed. This is not to be imitated, nor is such a mentality possible for anyone but Sri Rāmānanda Roy, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will explain. The example of Sri Rāmānanda Roy is certainly unique. The author of Sri Caitanya-caritämrta has given this description because in perfect devotional service, one can attain such a position. Nevertheless, one must understand this subject very seriously and never attempt to imitate such activities. 21. The greatness of the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is exceedingly difficult to understand. Sri Rāmānanda Roy is unique among all of them, for he showed how one can extend his ecstatic love to the extreme limit. 22. Rāmānanda Roy directed the two girls how to dance and express the deep meaning of his songs through dramatic performances. He taught them how to express the symptoms of continuous, natural, and transitional ecstasies with the movements of their faces, their eyes, and the other parts of their bodies. Through the feminine poses and dances they were taught by Rāmānanda Roy, the two girls precisely exhibited all these expressions of ecstasy before Lord Jagannath. Then Rāmānanda Roy fed the two girls sumptuous prasadam and sent them to their homes unexposed. 26. Every day he trained the two Devi Dasis how to dance. Who among these small living entities, their minds always absorbed in material sense gratification, could understand the mentality of Srila Rāmānanda Roy? Purport. Rāmānanda Roy's service to the gopis for the satisfaction of Krishna is purely an affair of the spiritual world. Unless one is fully situated in the spiritual atmosphere, the activities of Rāmānanda Roy are most difficult to understand. 27. When the servant informed Rāmānanda Roy of Pradyumna Miśra's arrival, Rāmānanda Roy immediately went to the assembly room. 28. He offered his obeisances to Pradyumna Miśra with all respect, and then with great humility spoke as follows. Sir, you came here long ago, but no one informed me. Therefore, I have certainly become an offender at your lotus feet. My entire home has been purified by your arrival. Kindly order me. What can I do for you? I am your servant. 31. Pradyumna Miśra replied, I came simply to see you. Now I have purified myself by seeing your honor. 32. Because Pradyumna Miśra saw that it was late, he did not say anything else to Rāmānanda Roy. Instead, he took leave of him and returned to his own home. 33. The next day, when Pradyumna Miśra arrived in the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord inquired, "Have you heard talks about Krishna from Sri Rāmānanda Roy?" 34. Pradyumna Miśra thereupon described the activities of Sri Rāmānanda Roy. After hearing about these activities, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to speak. "I am a sannyasi," he said, and I certainly consider myself renounced. But what to speak of seeing a woman? If I even hear the name of a woman, I feel changes in my mind and body. Therefore, who could remain unmoved by the sight of a woman? It is very difficult. 37. Everyone please hear these topics about Rāmānanda Roy, although they are so wonderful and uncommon that they should not be spoken. 38. The two professional dancing girls are beautiful and youthful, yet Sri Rāmānanda Roy personally massages their entire bodies with oil. 39. He personally bathes and dresses them and decorates them with ornaments. In this way, he naturally sees and touches the private parts of their bodies. Nevertheless, the mind of Sri Rāmānanda Roy never changes, although he teaches the girls how to physically express all the transformations of ecstasy. His mind is as steady as wood or stone. Indeed, it is wonderful that even when he touches such young girls, his mind never changes. Text 42. The authority for such acts is the prerogative of Rāmānanda Roy alone. For I can understand that his body is not material, but has been completely transformed into a spiritual entity. He alone, and no one else, can understand the position of his mind. 44. But I can make a guess in terms of directions from the Shastras. The Vedic scripture Śrīmad Bhagavatam gives a direct evidence in this matter. When one hears or describes with great faith the pastimes of Lord Krishna, such as his rasa dance with the gopis, the disease of lusty desires in his heart, and the agitation caused by the three modes of material nature are immediately nullified, and he becomes sober and silent. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments in this connection. Any person seriously inclined to hear about the pastimes of Krishna's rasa dance, as mentioned in Śrīmad Bhagavatam, with great faith and a transcendental, spiritually inspired mind, is immediately freed from the natural lusty desires found within the heart of a materialistic man. When a pure Vaishnava speaks on Śrīmad Bhagavatam and another pure devotee hears Śrīmad Bhagavatam from such a realized soul, both of them live in the transcendental world, where the contamination of the modes of material nature cannot touch them. Freed from the contamination of the modes of nature, the speaker and hearer are fixed in a transcendental mentality, knowing that their position on the transcendental platform is to serve the Supreme Lord. The class of men known as Prakrita Sahajas, who consider the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna something like the behavior between a man and a woman in the material field, artificially think that hearing the Rasa-līlā will help them by diminishing the lusty desires of their diseased hearts. But because they do not follow the regulative principles, but instead violate even ordinary morals, their contemplation of the Rasa-līlā is a futile attempt, which sometimes results in their imitating the dealings of the gopis and Lord Krishna. To forbid such habits of the Prakrita Sahajas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has excluded their material intelligence by using the word Vishwasa, faith. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33.30, Srila Shukadev Goswami says, Naitat samacharej, Naitat samacharej jatu, manasapi yadishvaraha, vinas yacharan maudyad, yata rudro dijam bisham. Certainly, one who is not the Supreme Personality of Godhead should never, even within his mind, imitate the activities of the transcendental Rasa-līlā of Krishna. If out of ignorance one does so, he will be destroyed, just as if he were to imitate Lord Shiva, who drank poison produced from the ocean. 47. Tasting transcendental, effulgent, sweetly ecstatic love of Krishna, such a person can enjoy life 24 hours a day in the transcendental bliss of the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. A transcendentally sober person who with faith and love continually hears from a realized soul about the activities of Lord Krishna in his rasa dance with the gopis, or one who describes such activities, can attain full transcendental devotional service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, lusty material desires, which are the heart disease of all materialistic persons, are for him quickly and completely vanquished. Vikriditam vrajavadu bididam cha Vishno shradhanvito nushunayad atavarnayad yaha bhaktim pradam bhagavati pratilabhya kamam rid rogam asha pahanot achirena diraha. Again, a transcendentally sober person who with faith and love continually hears from a realized soul about the activities of Lord Krishna in his rasa dance with the gopis, or one who describes such activities, can attain full transcendental devotional service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, lusty material desires, which are the heart disease of all materialistic persons, are for him quickly and completely vanquished. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.33-39. All the activities of Lord Krishna are transcendental, and the gopis, who are also transcendentally situated, all the activities of Lord Krishna are transcendental, and the gopis are also transcendentally situated. Therefore, the activities of the gopis and Lord Krishna, if seriously understood, will certainly free one from material attachment. Then there is no possibility that lusty material desires will awaken. 49 and 50. If a transcendentally situated person, following the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, hears and speaks about the Rasa-līlā dance of Krishna, and is always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna while serving the Lord day and night within his mind, What shall I say about the result? It is so spiritually exalted that it cannot be expressed in words. Such a person is an eternally liberated associate of the Lord, and his body is completely spiritualized. Although he is visible to material eyes, he is spiritually situated, and all his activities are spiritual. By the will of Krishna, such a devotee is understood to possess a spiritual body. Text 51. Srila Rāmānanda Roy is situated on the path of spontaneous love of God. Therefore he is in his spiritual body, and his mind is not materially affected. 52. I also hear topics about Krishna from Rāmānanda Roy. If you want to hear such topics, go to him again. 53. You can mention my name before him, saying, he has sent me to hear about Lord Krishna from you. Go hastily while he is in the assembly room. Hearing this, Pradyumna Miśra immediately departed. And I'm stopping tonight. A little early, sorry. I started early, I finished a little early, but I just received a phone call while I was reading, and Vaisheshika Prabhu was expecting a phone call from me at 8 o'clock. And it's a very important one. It has to do with our service together with the RRP, BBT. So I'm going to say, I've got 7 minutes for reflections, comments, discussion. And everyone will just have to forgive me today because it was a very special day. And Hare Krishna. Any comments, reflections? I hope you can hear me because my voice is very bad today. You can see how I'm going to have to go into seclusion to do these audiobooks properly.
There's some greetings.
Greetings? Please, let me hear some greetings. I become transcendently inspired when I hear these greetings from these great souls who are attached to hearing about Krishna. We just heard about that tonight.
Shantarupa Devi Dasi says Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna to you, Shantarupa Devi Dasi.
Rati Manjari says Jai Guru Maharaj.
Jai Rati.
Krishna Premavati Devi Dasi says Happy Hour.
Happy hour.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, all glories to His divine grace.
Also to all the assembled devotees, my humble obeisances.
Jai Ho.
Sudevi Dasi says Hare Krishna Maharaj, we can hear you fine.
Oh, thank you so much. I've got this perfectionist streak in me, and I'm waiting for Rasika Shiromani to finish the first edit of the audio files so we can polish them and do dub-ins and stuff. And I need a perfect voice, and what I've got right now ain't it. It isn't it. Hare Krishna.
Bhakta Ben says, thank you Maharaj. It seems inconceivable that Lord Chaitanya's mind is disturbed by a woman.
His mind is never disturbed by a woman. He's speaking to teach us Therefore, it says that the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are very, very difficult to understand. He knows everything about Krishna. He is Krishna in the mood of Radharani. But he tells Pradyumna Miśra, I don't understand about Krishna. You have to go and hear from Rāmānanda Roy, because I hear from Rāmānanda Roy. And this is part of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, that he would, glorify the devotees of the Lord and glorify his associates and allow them to speak, and he would listen, and in that way teach us how important it is to listen and to hear properly. And only he could explain who Rāmānanda Roy actually is. So if you can imagine being in a male body and touching the private parts of a beautiful young girl and not being agitated, then you are an illusion. And the sahajas, they think that they can do that and be spiritual. And they end up falling down into illicit sex, thinking they're following in the footsteps of Krishna. Now that may sound crazy, but it's not crazy. It actually is happening right now as we speak. It actually happened right in our movement in 1975-76, when the Caitanya-caritämrta first came out, and a group of devotees started to hear these things, and they thought, when Krishna says in the Gita, whatever you're remembering when you leave your body, that's where you'll go. So they're thinking, we want to be gopis, we don't want to be anything else. So we'll just hear about the gopis. Some of them ended up actually falling down into illicit sex. Prabhupada was furious. And when he brought the leaders of that group in front of him, they started to preach to Prabhupada from his own books that what they were doing was following what he wanted them to do. Even when he was telling them that he didn't want them to do that. And in that way, they stepped into the darkest corners of the universe. And finally, and they wouldn't change, and finally he told them, you need to go start your own movement because you're more advanced than I am. That's the real position of a Mahabhagavat. Lord Chaitanya is never disturbed with the sight of a woman. But he's acting as a perfect sannyasi. And therefore he's acting in a way to teach us no one can be alone with a naked woman and not be agitated, sexually agitated. Not possible. Therefore he said, no one but Rāmānanda Roy can do that. And anyone therefore who thinks they can and does it is not a devotee. They're just sense gratifiers in the guise of devotees. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Premavati Devi Dasi. She says, thank you, Maharaj, for your daily readings. These topics satisfy our souls more than anything in this world can.
Well, that's their nature. That's the nature of this hearing and chanting. That's why we need to do it ourselves and preach it and get as many people to do it as possible. And that's it. That's 8 o'clock. I have to go now. Excuse me if anybody got offended because we didn't read their comments. Please forgive me. But I have to go now and attend to my appointment with Vaisheshika Prabhu. Sri Caitanya-caritämrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. See you tomorrow night for sure. same time, same place, same topics, and we'll go a little longer tomorrow night. Hare Krishna. See you then. Haribol.